Right, Diane, let's have a look at your Garden of Eden set. So I'm just going to look at it this way because obviously it's not set out to be paired. If it was, the images wouldn't be separate sizes, which is actually something you might want to look at because there are some people who will end up having it set to two-page view as a default, and you really want the two pages to be the same size, and I think that comes down to image size. And yeah, it doesn't quite work when it's viewed in that manner. So page display needs to go back to single page view. Excuse me. So yeah, it works well. There are little things that haven't quite behaved themselves as well as they could have at times, like this one. The light on the butterfly ends up being a lot darker than anywhere else. The text that you've put in is great, although I would probably have changed the formatting slightly so that the comma was the end of the sentence line and it started on a new one. Same with semi-sufficient, given that that's all one word. So little bits of publishing, things that could be tweaked. The gap between the blue block and the white is very close. And so I would be looking at changing that. Not entirely convinced about the colour choice. I can see where you're going in terms of it being complementary, but at times it does end up being a bit more garish than it necessarily needs to be. There are other times when it works really well and you've picked up a colour of the image that's coming up, so the two talk to each other quite nicely, like this one, but because it's not viewing properly when the two pages are next to each other, you do lose some of that. This one here, there's not quite enough gap with around the bottom of the baby photo, bringing it up to about here, and having a slightly bigger gap at the bottom would be good. So yeah, with most of them you seem to have pulled up colours. This one's not quite a colour from here. Maybe the green or the brown would have worked. I love the lighting on this one, and I love the framing. That works really well. I think you've started. This is one of the later images, and it does show the improvement within that, which is great. This one, I think there needs to be a little bit more light on the fan, and probably the candle being lit wouldn't hurt either. Nice lighting on the ukulele for this one. Maybe a little bit more on the album back here. And again, you've got candles, so it kind of makes sense for them to be lit in this type of situation. But this one works well. I like the board game. The fork candelabra, I'm not actually sure what it is. Doesn't quite seem to be upright. It's not quite vertical. So tweaking that would potentially be a useful thing, but I'm not sure that you can tweak it now. It might just have a slight lean on it. But good use of the little insert of the image in each of those pages. That's quite nice. That was the same one with the slightly darker butterfly there. That one works well. This one, we've got some dark areas up the top which aren't really working as well as they could, and need a bit more light on the books. That one works nicely. It's a nice little still life. Already talked about that one in week 9. I like the composition of this. The use of the triangle with the little triangle down here, just works really well, and the coaster forming another triangle. It's a nice play, and you've got yet another set of triangles with the leaks. So yeah, that use of repetitive shapes that yet are different work really well. This is another one that's nicely laid out as well. I like the idea of this one. I don't quite think that the flowers against the busy background quite work. Maybe if the tapestry was off on an angle and leading to the flowers against a black background, it might have worked better. And there's the the perfectionist part of me that's going, well, we've got irises in this one, shouldn't we have irises in that one? um, that's just me getting grumpy. And this one, I'm just thinking that bowl actually needs something in it so that we don't see through, and so that, I don't know, it just... I like the composition though, but I do think the bowl would have potentially benefited from things in it. I like this one, a nice use of the purples. Could have actually picked that purpley colour up and brought it into that first image a little bit more. No, and into the background. And good job with the references. Would have been nice to have a... you've got an introduction about you and your stylistic references, but it would have been nice to have something about you personally, other than the baby photo. It's kind of cheating. having a grown-up photo to finish would have potentially been a good finish there. But yeah, overall it works well. And yeah, I don't think I've got anything else that I haven't already said. So good job.